West neighborhood, working with Alderman Westmoreland, and getting stuff, whatever the community needs and stuff like that. But we've had a lot of issues with the store. We've had equipment issues going on, the construction that's happening and stuff like that. And we are excited that we did get approved for a grant from the city and everything. And we are hoping that we are able to get more assistance from the mayor. So without further ado, I'll let him take it away.
Thank you.
Mayor
Thank
Johnson.
you. Thank you, Navi. Thank you, Navi. Appreciate that. And good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's really good to be here at this Century store, which, as Navi mentioned, is a recipient of one of our commercial corridor grants to replace some aging equipment. Speaking of those grants, I want to make sure that I acknowledge the fact that our Commissioner of the Department of City Development, Lafayette Crump, is here, as is the Commissioner of Health, Dr. Michael Todoritis. So there's a good story here. It's a story of cooperation. It's a story of support. Sorry about that. So this is a Navi store, and he's served this area for quite some time with good food and some really good convenience as well. Now, to be clear, this store is an asset. It's an asset here on the Northwest Side, and that's good for customers, but it's also good for the entire city. With an older refrigeration system, this store has faced a number of challenges. I mean, that's why this grant is a topic of discussion today. And some of those challenges required for costs to be put into that as opposed to going into some other things the store could be doing. Those sort of capital expenses are very, very expensive, especially for grocery stores that run on very narrow margins. So a replacement system was planned, and through our existing programs, our existing efforts that we have at the City of Milwaukee, my administration was able to step in and support. So a grant of $25,000 was approved to help Navi with some of the things I just talked about, some of the things he just touched on. I want to be clear that a huge part of this effort was spearheaded by Alderman Lamont Westmoreland, the local alder in this district, who couldn't be with us this morning, but we're joined by his aide, Todd Peterson, from his office. So I want to thank the alderman for his support on this as well. So the alderman was able to make that connection between Navi, between the Century, and the Department of City Development. A modern refrigeration system is environmentally sustainable, and for customers, it adds to business sustainability that keeps a good food store operating. Now, I just want to be very clear. I want to be very, very clear, right, in that we're providing assistance to this store in the form of a commercial grant, but this store still faces challenges. It is still challenging to operate this store for some of the reasons that Navi mentioned and above. So there are great challenges that are still on the horizon. That's why I think it's important for all of us to do more. And that's why I'm happy that my colleagues from across the hall, Alderman Stamper, Alderwoman Pratt, are here as well, because they are champions on working to address this issue as well. Grocery store closures continue to be a problem across the city, and we have been leveraging partnerships in order to stem the current wave of closures. So as I mentioned before, I recently met with a number of grocers, and one of the main problems that they brought up to me in the town, or in the roundtable rather, that I hosted with grocers last week is that they are experiencing some issues in terms of making investments in capital costs. You know, those expenses to keep, the store running, to keep the refrigeration happening. Those are big issues, and especially for grocery stores that run on margins. So if we are able to help them to defray some of those costs, it could help them to be in a better position to stay open and serve not just the neighborhoods where they operate, but really, again, the entire city. And just as a further point, when you have a store, a business that operates on the margins like that, these sort of capital expenses, they can be expensive. And when they're expensive and you have those tiny margins, like it could really implode your entire operation. So this is why it's important for us to continue to work together to address the issue. So I'm working, as I mentioned, with members of the Common Council on a new grant program that would help grocers with their equipment needs. It can also be for eligible startup inventory for businesses that are looking to create or expand existing grocery or pharmacy retail operations. So I want to be clear that this infusion of dollars into short-term capital needs is not a long-term issue. It's not going to solve the entire problem that we have right now. The grocer landscape has changed, And in my office, we've created an interdepartmental task force to develop new innovative solutions for how our residents get the food that they need. And we're also calling on food operators to eliminate food waste to help us to meet this moment. There are a lot of people who are hungry out there, and we shouldn't be tossing food away. Instead, if we have an opportunity to make sure that that goes to folks who are hungry, then we should be doing that. So Palermo's is doing just that. Giacomo Faluca will speak about that in a moment, but they're dedicating a donation of food resources to pantries all across the city of Milwaukee. And that's a great partnership. I always talk about the power of partnership and harnessing that in order to tackle the biggest challenges that we have in our community, and Palermo's is stepping up to the plate. Also, again, want to highlight the work of my colleagues, Alderman Russell Stamper, as well as Alderwoman Andrea Pratt. I'm strongly endorsing the legislation that they have offered that would require grocery stores to provide more notice to the community if they're intending to cease operations. Because eliminating somebody's access to food is not something you can do on a whim. It's not something that you can do without consideration. Because our residents, they need to make plans. They need to make plans, they got to find new options, and they need time in order to do so. I'm going to be happy to sign that legislation when it reaches my desk. So you'll hear from Alders Stamper and Pratt in just a moment, but first I want to invite Giacomo Faluca from Palermo's to come to the mic. Giacomo?
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks. It's great to be here. You know, at Palermo's we have a saying that pizza is a food that unites us, right? It's a shared meal. You know, everyone has their different tastes in pizza. And, you know, we're close to the city and the mayor, and we said, what can we do? What part can we play? Palermo's, we donate hundreds of thousands of pizzas each year that are #1 quality production overruns that we give to food pantries. And so what we're doing is we're working with the local food pantries to identify areas that have the greatest need. And as I always do, I'll say I'll give away as many pizzas as we can. And so we'll figure out the logistics, and those food pantries will be announced shortly, where once a week the food pantries will work with local residents to give away pizzas. And again, it's just one part. And I think beyond that, we'll talk to some of our supplier partners as well to see what other items we can work with them to donate and give away and to help. And I think also for Palermo's, you know, working with the local retailers and what are some ways that we can assist them in the world of big retail to help bring customers into their stores, and a way to use pizza is that tool. Again, I'm just a pizza guy. It's just one way, but it's what we can do. And, you know, I compliment the mayor and the city and for paying attention to this, you know, and the alder folks, women, men, is that how I say it? You know. DCD Director Crump and all of those people for paying attention, because this is a big deal. And for people that are in need of food and are hungry and don't have easy access, this is, I was telling the mayor on Friday, this is my city as much as it is yours, right? So, you know, we need to just play a part in it. So, thank you for allowing me to speak, and thanks for being here. And
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Alder Stamper.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Russell Stamper II. I have the honor and the privilege of representing the 15th Automatic District. And I want to thank you all for being here today. I want to thank the mayor for this invitation and the whole team. So today is about partnership. It's about teamwork. It's about protecting what our community needs most. And that's fresh, healthy food right in our neighborhood. When grocery stores close, it's not just business. It's families, it's seniors, it's children, it's dignity. When Pick and Save closed on 35th Street, it sent a painful message to the 15th Automatic District that corporate disinvestment continues to treat Central City neighborhoods as optional. But let me be clear, our community is not optional. We are essential. Since that closure, I've worked alongside residents, organizers, Metcalf Park Community Bridges, and the Food Justice Collective. I've listened to elders who take 2 buses to get to the grocery store. I walk with families traveling miles for fresh foods and prescriptions. Because it's not just the food, it's people need places to get their medicine. So I've supported the community-powered fridge networks, and I'm happy to say with the council and the mayor, we have 5 of them spread throughout the district, throughout the community. Because when systems fail, our people step up, and I'm very proud of the community for doing that. But mutual aid should not have to replace policy. So that's why today is powerful. And I stand along with my sister, Andrea Pratt, my strong partner in this work, because together we believe closures cannot happen without accountability, transparency, and protection for our residents. So we are advancing legislation that declares food apartheid a public health and economic emergency, requires a transition plan so grocery and pharmacy closures cannot happen without community notice and protections. And thank you, Mayor, for your support on that. Invest in expanding and sustaining the Fresh Food Access Fund to support community-led solutions. Today, and this store is an example of that. And we also co-sponsored efforts directing and working with the Department of City Development, the Health Department, you see both commissioners here, to actively attract and retain grocery stores in our neighborhoods. So this is not about blame, this is about responsibility. And we want those who are committed to serving our community, our neighbors, to stay, like Shandir right here. We want businesses like Century Foods to thrive. We want partners like Palermo's to keep stepping up and providing that good pizza. And we want a city where the heart of Milwaukee, our central city, has quality grocery and pharmacy options, not by chance, but by design. Mayor, thank you for your leadership. Navi, thank you for staying committed. Giacomo, Falusa, and Palermo's, thank you so much for stepping up for our Milwaukee families. Together, the Common Council, the Mayor's Office, community partners, and business leaders will continue to strengthen confidence and teamwork to ensure our residents have what they need. Thank you very much. So I talked about my sister, my partner. I'm going to bring up the great 1st District Alderwoman, Andrea Pratt.
Good morning. I'm Alderwoman Andrea Pratt. I represent the 1st District. I'm happy to be here today. I can say not long after I was elected, I had a pharmacy closure on Teutonia and Capitol. Right after that, I had another pharmacy closure on Teutonia and Villard. I have 1 pharmacy left in my district that's still open. And so we are dealing with this multi-tiered issue with pharmacies closing, which are sometimes where people get their food. And in addition to grocery stores closing, recently the Aldi's in my district closed. I was told 2 days before it happened. So one of the things that Alderman Stamper and I are working on and will put forward is legislation to make sure that people have notification. You should not wake up in a food desert. Food insecurity is not an abstract issue in Milwaukee. It's something that families are living with every single day. Parents are skipping meals so their children can eat. Seniors are choosing between groceries and medication. Neighborhoods where fresh is affordable food is neighborhoods where access to fresh affordable food is disappearing block by block. This is not the failure of individual families. It's the systems issue, and it demands a public response, and that's why we are here today. The City of Milwaukee is taking action. We are investing in food access through community grocers, urban agriculture, and mobile food markets. We're strengthening partnerships with food banks, neighborhood organizations, and schools to make sure resources reach the people who need them most. And we're using policy through licensing and economic development tools to prevent sudden grocery closures that leave communities stranded without options. We're also being clear about accountability. When large retailers leave without warning, neighborhoods pay the price. That's why we're working to ensure better notice, better planning, and better coordination so residents are not left in food deserts overnight. Food security is about dignity. It's about health. It's about whether a city works for everyone and not just those with the most options. Milwaukee is committed to building a city where access to food is not a privilege, but a basic right. I should be able to get a tomato in my neighborhood as easy as I can get a blunt wrapper. Come on, y'all. Like, it has to be easier than this. And this work will continue block by block, policy by policy, until no family has to wonder where their next meal will come from. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, and you're absolutely right, Alderman Pratt. Thank you so much. I want to thank Navi again for hosting us this morning. Giacomo, thank you for all the work that you have done and continue to do. I mentioned before that I hosted a roundtable with grocers just last week, Friday, and Mo Wentz from Sherman Park Grocery is here as well. So thank you for being here, Mo. I think I did see Mandeep Clare, who was at that roundtable before, who owns the Century up the street. Thank you so much for being here as well. The commissioners of both the Health Department and City Development, we mentioned, are here. They'll probably take a couple of questions as we enter into that part of the program right now. We were joined by Alderwoman Larissa Taylor from the 9th Aldermanic District, so I want to thank her for being here. You, of course, heard from Alderman Russell Stamper and Alderwoman Andrea Pratt, and saw the representation from Alderman Westmoreland's office as well. So I want to thank all of our colleagues and partners on the City Council who are working together. This is a collaboration. This is partnership between the council and the administration in order to address an issue that is affecting neighborhoods all over Milwaukee. We're doing this together. We're doing it together. And so with that, we'll take a couple questions.
Yvonne Plum with Town News. Thanks for having us.
Good morning.
I have a question for either Alderman Pratt or Stamper as well. Talking about this new legislation that you both are proposing and bringing forward for the city. You talk about grocers needing to give customers more notice about a closure or if they're planning on shutting down. Can you talk about how much notice you're asking grocery stores or grocers to give?
Sure.
So we are working, the notice that we're working on is a 60-day notice. And so there was already ordinance on the book. What we're doing is just giving it teeth. A 60-day notice, and we plan on in that first 30 days trying to work with that business. They would alert the mayor's office, the local alder, and licensing department that they intend to close within 60 days. Once we find that out, we're going to work for 30 days to see what can we do to retain you. How can we keep you here? And if we get to the end of that 30 days and we aren't able to come to a solution and they do decide to leave our neighborhood, then they do have to at least give the next 30 days for notice for the people who live in that area, so that you know when you're a grocery store, at least if it's going to close, you can make plans, you can prepare, and you aren't left with no food overnight.
Does that apply to the larger chains, to the pharmacies, to the local?
It's for food dealers. So a food dealer would also include pharmacies. And that's why we did food dealers, because we want to know when they're leaving as well. I'll say in my district, the Walgreens on Teutonia and Good Hope had issues in which I thought they were going to go the way as the one on Teutonia and Capitol. So I spoke with them. I sat down. I tried to come up with strategies, like how can I keep you here because I need you here. And we were able to come up with strategies, maybe using the drive-through more, closing earlier, whatever it needs to happen to keep you so people have access to food and medicine. That's what we're going to do, and that's what we're going to use that first 30 days to do to see if we can come to a solution.
Yeah, because we want you to stay.
Yeah.
I want you to leave. If we can help, the city can help, then we want to help. Mr. Wentz did that. Put a cry out. Look, y'all need some help. We got him some help. We're going to continue to help him so he can stay right in the community and feed the community.
Mayor Johnson, you talked about the interdepartmental task force.
Yep.
Can you tell me a little bit about who's that made up of, and are you looking at what other cities are doing?
Sure. So we constantly are looking at what other cities are doing. I'm a proud member of the United States Conference of Mayors, and these issues are affecting not just Milwaukee, but they affect other communities all across the country as well. In my office, I've got staff that are working on this directly, that serve directly in the mayor's office. And then in terms of other departments that are working on the issue, I mean, you got representation right here from city development that provided the grant that we're talking about today for this Century Food Store, and the health department and other city agencies that are directly affected by this, that would have a direct effect on this rather. So we constantly are looking to see what other cities are doing, and then we're working actively on the ground planning around this issue so that we can provide the support necessary to keep these stores open.
Right.
This is important. This is important, and I think Alderwoman Pratt hit the nail right on the head. You should not go to sleep and then wake up the next morning and be in a food desert. You shouldn't. If folks deserve that dignity, they deserve to have the opportunity to plan accordingly. If there's going to be a closure of a grocery store in their neighborhood, it's only right. It's only right. I mean, think about senior citizens, right? I mean, I think about in the second aldermanic district, the Century Foods that closed there, right across the street from West Lawn Gardens. Think about the senior citizens that live there. Think about all the kids that live there that had a grocery store right across the street, and within a couple of days, they wake up and the grocery store is gone. We've got to do a better job collectively as a community to work to make sure that folks in this community are not impacted in that same sort of way. So there's work to do, and I'm glad again to work with my colleagues on the council in order to get it done.
They texted me and said the Fresh Food Access Fund. Is that something that's involved with this? Or?
Yes. Alderman Rennie sponsored it a few years back. We are enhancing the deserts, seeing where they are in the community, and it will be a focus on attraction and marketing and helping enhance the current and the ones that are existing in those deserts. So yes, it's going to be refunded and supported. Yes.
Alderwoman Pratt, you talked about some of the organizations that are working on the ground to fill the gap. Can you just elaborate on how you're supporting those groups?
Oh, we're working to make sure they get funding. We're working with refrigeration for certain groups, just to. I know I have lots of food pantries in my district. I have Northside Church of God, we talk about, or the Dawa Center, and they have a food pantry that is robust, but it happens once a week. If we don't have a grocery store in our neighborhood, it needs to happen more often. So working with them to see how can we help you so that you are able to get food to people more often. So just working with those neighborhood groups and those worship centers and food pantries or whoever is giving food, and working with food to make sure they can have a more robust delivery, and we're trying to support them however we can.
Mayor Johnson, another quick question for you. You talked about a new grant that your office is working on to give grocery stores who are struggling more of an opportunity to work through those obstacles. Can you talk about how much money those grocers would be eligible for?
Yeah, so there are a couple of things that we're working on right now with our large impact development fund, an opportunity to support grocers that way. That fund is in and around $1 million that we're seeking to work with. There are some opportunities at the council as well, and I'm so eager, again, to work with our colleagues on that side to make sure that we're making those investments to help grocers with some of those capital expenses that I talked about in my opening comments. Because if we're able to defray some of those capital expenses, it opens up opportunities so grocers don't hit those thin margins that they operate on. So there's about $1 million in that large impact development fund, and then there are some additional dollars that we're in conversations on right now that possibly could go to support these efforts as well. That's why we have to do this collaboratively, because it doesn't matter if you're in the 1st district or, quite frankly, if you're in the 13th district. The 1st district goes very far and abuts the northern suburbs, and the 13th district abuts the southern suburbs. And each of those districts, you see challenges where either pharmacies have closed, that Alderwoman Pratt was talking about, or grocery store closures like the Pick and Save that closed on South 27th Street. So this is a citywide challenge that we all want to address.
Mr. Mayor, is there any metrics that you guys are using to make sure that these closures are put to kind of a minimum, in the near future? I know you guys are very serious about this, and these, you want to make sure that these partnerships and plans work. Are there any metrics that you guys are kind of using to make sure these work?
The metrics that we're seeking to use are making sure that we provide the resources necessary so that these stores don't close, right? A store closure that's what we're trying to prevent from happening. And so this is going to take a lot of work. Again, a lot of these stores, saw challenges that arose quite frankly, I mean, during the government shutdown, when folks didn't have access to their food stamps and things like that, and they weren't able to come in. Many of these stores took a significant hit during that time that they still haven't caught up from. So we want to work to use the resources that we have at our disposal in order to make sure we're lessening the likelihood that more stores in Milwaukee will close.
We do one more question. Okay.
I have one. And when you meet with these grocers, like at the
Yeah.
roundtable
Sure.
last week, does it come down to the money? They can't afford to stay open? Are there other trends and issues that you're seeing they're having and coming to it?
Certainly there are trends. There are trends that affect every single grocer, but one that we can have a direct impact on, I think right now, in the short term, is working to make sure that we help to defray some of those capital costs, open up some money for them to be able to make investments in their stores, keep their staff on payroll, keep the lights